It's a big day. The Lyra is here, and I'm here with the very amazing and talented Greg Howe. That's
What's
awesome.
going on? Am I in? Can you see me?
Yeah, you should be in. I mean, everybody should be able to see you.
Very cool. Good to see everyone. I don't see you really, but in my heart I do.
Great to be seen, right? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this new model, let's just kind of dive right into it. And Greg's been with us since 2014. Started playing our Bolt guitar, and which was a 22 fret, bolt-on neck instrument, and said, hey, I need a 24 fret. So we started working on that, and we launched the GH24. Was the first model with Greg, and that featured a flat top, no pick guard, very similar looking to this, poplar burl, and played that for a while, and then
that was chambered. That was chambered as well. I believe.
That was chambered. That's a good point. That was chambered. Played that for a little while, and then we introduced the GH3, and that's what you've been playing until this. And Greg, we've been working on this project now for a little over a year.
Yeah, it's been about a year. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the idea with this guitar, we're swapping guitars here. The idea with this guitar was Greg really had an idea of what he wanted, and even had some conceptual sketches and some ideas, and we worked together to design this guitar. And it's the first time I've actually done this, so it was a lot of fun for me. Trying to bring something to life that you wanted, right?
It was the first for me too, because pretty much my whole career, anytime I've been sponsored by a company, it's more or less been accessorizing an already existing model. So it was exciting to do a new shape, a brand new design really, and it came out way better than I expected it to. But I could not be happier.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I mean, it's, holding the model up here. For those of you watching, you can see that this horn is shorter than normal, and then the body is a little shorter than normal here. So it's kind of pulled in those areas, giving it more of an offset type of vibe, which we don't have anything like that. And that was really what Greg wanted, was something more offset. That was kind of the whole driving force. And so, I get this concept, and, I build it and have Greg come out. And, we've gone through a lot of renditions of prototyping. And I think you came out, was it October of last year is when you flew out? I don't know if I lost Greg there, audio, or I think it froze on his account, maybe. Hopefully we're okay, and we got streaming services over there okay?
Yeah, everything's still going.
Okay, I can't hear him, and I can't see him. He's just frozen. Is he moving on your...
He's frozen on here now too. It must be on his end.
Okay, so we got Greg frozen for a little bit. Hopefully that's going to unfreeze soon. But, we started off with this concept, and so I got it all done. I got a couple of them done. He came out. And it was really funny because I wanted to bring the guitars home to my house. He flew in on a Sunday, and I wanted to bring the guitars home to my home. I didn't. He flew in on a Sunday and stayed with us. And I had an Aries hanging in the guest room that he was staying in. Now I have screensaver, Brandon.
She disconnected.
So, are we on still?
We are still on.
Okay, we're still on, but I don't know if he's on anymore. I think he's off.
He disconnected from Zoom.
Okay, you'll probably have to send him another invite. So we're going to work on getting Greg back in. I'll continue telling this story. That's the only problem with not having an artist here. Sometimes you have reception issues, where someone's located. So there was an Aries hanging in the guest room, and Greg was playing it all night long. I had no idea until the morning. And he'd never played a beveled guitar at all. And the original guitar that I made didn't start out beveled. It had no bevel on it. And the next morning he couldn't stop talking about this bevel. This is amazing and this is great, and I never understood like how awesome a bevel is. So on one hand here I have this prototype totally done, you know, and I'm so excited to show him. And on the other hand, I'm excited that he loves the Aries. So when we got to the shop on Monday, by the time we got going, he had this bevel just in his mind that he wanted a bevel. And it was from staying up all night playing the Aries. And so that's what I tell people, until you've played one of these guitars with our bevel and our comfort, it's hard to imagine what they really are. And it sold him without trying to sell him on it. I mean, I didn't even mention a bevel on this original model. Didn't even, you know, he didn't mention a bevel. He'd never played one, and you know, played that in the guest house. You know, for that night. I think Brandon's trying to. Are we good or what, man?
Yeah,
we're gonna be
try
okay.
to add him back from here.
Okay. Participants. So Brandon's gonna work on that, and I'm gonna keep talking, which I tend to do that. Okay. So we get to the shop and he checks out these first two, and he's like, oh wow, the body shape is really cool, but there's just something missing. And he keeps doing this with his arm. Part of the reason why the bevel was so needed is because this is a little bit smaller here. It's not extending out. And so by getting the bevel going, really made a pretty big difference, you know, especially for him. And I just took one of the guitars and I sanded a bevel into it. Actually, I think we ran a brand new one. I didn't take one of the gloss ones. We made a new alder body, and just I hand did a bevel into it. And he's like, that's what was missing. And so the bevel was born on this Lyra model. And it's just such a cool kind of mesh between what Greg originally wanted, you know, some of, you know, the concepts and ideas that, you know, obviously taking his concept and turning it into something that has great balance. You know, when you sit with the guitar, it's one of Greg's biggest feedbacks is when you sit with the guitar, it balances better than his other guitars that are this style. Sits in your lap better. And that's because of the placement of the cutaway underneath that little horn. I'd love for Greg to be talking about some of this stuff, but we're working on him, getting him back in the live. What's that?
Do you want the product video?
Nope. Let's work on getting Greg back in here, and we're going to end with the product video. Hopefully we can get Greg back in here. And let me show off my personal Lyra while we're kind of at a little bit of a standstill here. This pink is getting blown out on the screen, but there we go. You can really see that bevel. Have to hold it a little bit of an angle there. You can see the circular inlays on there, the rings. Swamp ash body, pearl pick guard. Oh, you can't see that because the screen's in the way. Swamp ash body, pearl pick guard, our light pink raw tone. It's another thing Greg's going to talk about. I did our standard neck profile on this. Just a very, very classy looking instrument. So this is my personal guitar. I've been wanting to show you guys, and I have been. It's made it in a few different backgrounds of pictures. The Lyra has, and no one's caught it yet. So it's been on some shop walks and nobody's caught it. This model has been basically from the point when Greg went to leave, we were pretty much done with the shape back last October, and then we were fine-tuning some things, some of which is finishes. You can see this gloss one here. Greg is actually playing a raw tone one and loves the sound of it and doesn't want us to offer it satin or gloss because it sounds so much different as a raw tone. And he actually has a different tremolo system, which I'll let him tell you about that. And so what's different about the Lyra is it's a model that we came up with together, and it's not a signature model. So what it is it's a version of a Kiesel model that Greg helped us with. And then we have what's called a Greg spec on the Lyra. So by clicking a button when you go to the page to build one, it's on the builder. You can order them right now. And you can order a Greg spec version of it. And there's a little button there. You just click that. And what that's going to do, it's going to fine tune you into the key specs to getting Greg's look and sound, which is so critical and crucial. Obviously getting that sound And some of that sound is going to come from, the body wood, which is alder, the poplar top, the raw tone finish, bird's eye maple fretboard, plain maple neck, jumbo gold frets, because frets do make a difference in tone, whole lot of humbucker bridge pickup, the Kiesel S60A single coils. He actually has a slightly different spacing on his HSS that gives him a slightly different tone. It's not our standard, so we did that for him. He also has different volume and tone control locations for him. And then there are a few other options on the model that you guys can tailor. It comes with a red pearloid pickguard, red tortoiseshell pickguard, but you can get a white pearloid one instead. And then there's a few different colors to choose from. So, you can definitely build your Greg spec version of the Lyra up. And like I said, we're ready to take orders for these. I know there's quite a few customers that have already started working on specs because they know what Greg likes, and when they saw that we're announcing something, so I know there's going to be some people already throwing down some orders right away. Where are we at, guys, with getting Greg in here? Oh, there he is. Awesome. So it's connecting to audio right now, so when someone comes in, it takes a moment to connect to audio. Show off this one, a very Kiesel-looking Kiesel. You guys have, seen so many, and it's so cool to see the deep binding effect here. And, 2 humbuckers. We got you, right, Greg?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, he's back. So I tried to entertain everybody best I could, talking about the model a little bit and talking about how when you flew out and stayed with us in the guest room, there was an Aries hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
And why don't you give your own words on what your take was, just playing that all night.
It was really comfortable. It was cool. I had never played one, and I just remember thinking it was a little kind of metal looking for my taste. So I was, but it played beautifully. So I'm sure some of that wore off on us. I mean, we ended up having the bevel thing. But I remember this didn't come from just trying to copy that. This came from being unable to have the gradual slant down. Remember that?
Yeah. So what happened was, I had the other models done, and I was telling everybody that, I had these models done. And when we got into the shop, on one hand, I'm so excited to show you these models. And on the other hand, during the drive in, you were talking about how comfortable the bevel was. And I'm going, are we going to need to modify these to put a bevel on them is what I'm thinking in the back of my mind. And Sure enough, that's what we need to do. And I was just explaining, that the bevel is, it's an aesthetic thing and it's a shock and it's a wow, but it's such a comfort thing because it allows you to hold the guitar at any position, right?
Yeah.
No matter where your forearm breaks over there, any position, it's going to give you that same comfort you need.
It's great. And the other thing that we did, if you remember, the first couple of rounds prototypes that took place, we had we still had the rounded edges. Remember that?
Yeah, so that was actually the prototype, and that was
Right.
before we did the bevel.
It was before the bevel, and everybody. I remember just thinking, it just kind of looks. I don't know. It just isn't really, So once we did the flat, the flat surface and without the rounded edges and the bevel, it really took on its own sort of personality and
Absolutely.
really came to life.
Yeah, totally agree. It's taking that kind of classic fusion and then mixing it with a little bit of modern, and I feel like the non-rounded does that, and it opens it up to so many different finishes. Makes the instrument look a little more like it's got a little more girth and mass, and makes it look a lot less metal too, because of that larger horn. When you get these upper horns real skinny, it's hard to think that guitar is going to play some jazz or some fusion, right? Even though it's the pickups and the wood and the player, obviously, that determine what it's going to sound like. But we all get that in our head. Even Jesse here was the same way. He felt like he has a Lyra also, and felt like it just inspired him to play different stuff on it. Yeah,
and it's also not. It doesn't seem like a genre specific guitar. I mean, I could picture this in a metal band or in a fusion situation or even country. It's kind
so
of
sick.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
So why don't you tell them about the finish on it? You know, we went through several rounds of different finishes, and we settled on the raw tone. And why is that, Greg?
Um, for me, it's a little bit more of an open sound. It just breathes a little bit more. It's a little bit more woody and open. So for my taste these days, my tone preferences and taste and tone always evolves and changes, but that's kind of where I am now. So I really love that tonal quality.
And you would say that the raw tone is a pretty big difference over the gloss.
Oh yeah, it's a completely different feel. And it's not that I don't like the gloss thing. It's just a different. It's more. I don't know. It's a denser sound. The notes are heavier. The notes are more. I guess focused maybe a little bit. It's hard. It's really hard to describe. It's just a feeling
Yeah.
of openness. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's why we kind of marketed it as raw tone because it's a raw look, but it really has a tone difference, and it's neat being able to that you really liked the raw tone and that's what you wanted,
Yeah.
and another thing that's really different on your model is you want to tell us about the trim and what kind of news you got on that.
Yeah. So there's probably a few people watching that have heard of the Vega-trem. It's really it was inspired by the concept of a replacement bridge for a Stratocaster, really, so that you could pull back on the bar and without having to, set it up on a nosedive. So basically, they just made, where the saddles rest, a smaller size so that you could pull back into that routing. They had sent me one a while back, and I get sent a lot of stuff, so I don't think I ever really checked it out. And then they followed up with an email maybe a year later or so to see how I liked it. And so I installed it on the Strat and really loved it. I loved the way it sounded, actually, because I'm not really doing crazy, horse noises and stuff these days. But it was still just a really, really smooth bridge. And I mean, and just like the Kiesels, I love the hip shot, the specific hip shot you guys have, but I just thought it would be something different, and it's just a slightly different kind of action, and I really liked it. So, and I like the idea of having something that's specific for a signature model. So that was the other part of it. Looks kind of cool. And you guys did a great job with the making it fit with the routing. That's the one thing I will say. If you use it in a conventional form, you end up getting that extra sort of space here on if you use it for a Strat. But you guys made sure that the aesthetics were up to Kiesel standard. So it's really it's really cool. It's a great bridge. But it also sounds. I have one of the prototypes over there. So the hip shot that's been sort of proprietary Kiesel. What's that called?
It'd be called the Kiesel X-Trem system.
X-Trem system, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that one too. That one sounds great. They sound different, and they both sound great. They just sound different. And I like to have that variety. So I'll probably have some of these with yours and some of these with the Kiesel or with the Vega-trem. But the Vega-trem is pretty cool. For those of you who haven't checked it out, it's an interesting and sort of innovative idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the concept with the trem is it's such a small unit that it goes into a Strat and allows it to be fully floating is really
Right.
kind of the concept behind it. And so for us, when we got it and it's so small and we put it in the route and it's swimming in there. I mean, literally the
Yeah.
route is so big.
Right.
And I just said, hey, I can't send something like this. I
Yeah.
gotta, and so I decided let's make another guitar. And so, we really made the route fit the trem system and allowing the trem to still do its full function, but fixing the aesthetic. And so because it's such a different route, the only way we're offering this Vega-trem is on the Greg spec Lyra. That's the only way you can get it. It is only available with gold hardware and right-handed, not left-handed. So anybody that wanted a Greg spec Lyra, unfortunately, we won't be offering these in left-handed, just right-handed only. Between the different spacing on the pick guard and then the proprietary bridge for the model, it'll be a right-handed to market only. Of course, the regular Lyra, 6 and 7 string, you can get this model with the hip shot fix, the Kiesel trim, in both 6 and 7 string. So pretty excited about that, and I can't wait to see what kind of concoction you guys cook up. Some of you guys have just such great visions to spend on the builder and take time and build some really neat ones. We've put together some what I feel like are really cool builds, and
Yeah.
you guys will see Jesse's build and Scott's build. They both have guitars. Scott Carstairs and Jesse Michelle, they have builds, and they're 7-string players. And when Greg was out here and he was hanging out with Jesse, they were spending time. Greg was so cool. Was like, I want to make sure he gets one of these. And I said, well, he only plays 7-string, man. And he's like, well, let's make a 7. So how cool is that? Greg wanting, this
Absolutely.
next generation of guitar player.
Definitely.
A lot of people playing 7, and I told Greg, I said, we're gonna have to make you a 7. I want to see some stuff with you in a 7. I think that would be so cool.
It'd be fun. I'm still trying to figure out 6. I'm still trying to get a handle on that. But
Yeah, I wish I had a handle like you do on a 6. That would be awesome. I'm sure all of us are thinking the same thing. But well,
Yeah,
very very cool, man. And you got the Seymour Duncan in this.
yeah, we got the whole lot of humbucker in there, which is it's not a terribly high output pickup, but it's just a very balanced, kind of even output pickup. It's just kind of nice. So and it works nice with this combination, the alder with the poplar top. I really like that mix. It's got a we did another guitar like that, right? That was the second round of
Yes,
the old
we did.
signature.
Yep. Yeah,
And I had a Volt Classic on tour, and I was so in love with it that I never even really broke out the other one. And then something happened. I think I had a fret issue with the Volt Classic, and so I had to start playing the poplar top one. And it was like, wow, this thing. I mean, it really just jumped. You know what I mean? It really popped. That tone combination is really, it's very upfront. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's awesome. And then it's paired with our S60A single coils. That's what you've been playing since the very beginning. You just kind of fell in love with those singles, and we've tried different stuff, and you're like, nope, don't mess with those.
They're real spanky. They're real Stratty in it, which I and the way that we have the switch wired, we split this in the second or fourth position, whatever people, I never know what position it is. But it's a real unique sort of really Stratty tone, and the same thing with the other second or fourth position over here. So I like the combination with this humbucker and this, and I also like the combination of these two. It's just, I don't know, there's just something very immediate and very just sparkly and spanky about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's not bulky, you know what I mean?
Is there anything else you want to throw in there about the guitar, or add to anything you got to say?
Just trying to think. I mean, I just tend to be very specific. I know with it, I fell in love. That was one of the other things I fell in love with was the roasted maple. But with what I like tone wise and with this particular wood combination, it just for me felt a little bright. Mm-hmm. So we stuck with the regular bird's eye. I don't know. Once we got over the hump, things fell together so quick. I don't really have any complaints other than, I'm kind of the one that's been stalling and delaying this because of, working with Vega-trem, having some last minute ideas and things like that. I piss off a lot of companies I work with, but
no, you just want things a certain way, and that's what I kept telling you along the way. We got to make it the way you want it, and so. We did go through a lot of prototypes, but that's what this experience is supposed to be about. And, you guys as fans watching this, you got to know that when we're working with these guys, we go through all of the steps to make sure when you save your money and you throw it down, it's what the artist plays. When we do a signature or an artist edition, or in this case, we're doing this one a little different where we're calling it a Greg spec. And, Greg is instrumental in the Lyra. Every little detail he was kind of part of this, and so it was cool for me and him to collab on this, and I'm just so excited.
It was fun.
It was fun, and I think we're going to see a lot of these out there because it's like taking our most popular model, the Ares, and really kind of taking that and mixing it with like a Delos or a Theos, and just kind of merging the two. And it's just, why didn't we do this before? But it's always easy to see it when it's done and say, why didn't we do this?
Of course, yeah. Well, this particular model, this thing, it just looks like something that it's almost like when you hear a hit song that's so obvious, and you're like, how could this song have not been written already? I feel like that with this guitar, like, how did this not exist already? But the other thing I will say about this is, I've been playing it for a while, and it just, I don't know, it just seems super balanced. When I put on one of the other guitars, there's maybe it's just psychological, but it feels like a tendency to do this.
Yeah.
So this guitar is really balanced. I will say that. Especially for guys that are doing a lot of recording, sitting down a lot. So, which I'm doing.
That's cool. Well, awesome. Well, Greg even does some Zoom lessons, and Greg is always doing all kinds of stuff. So make sure you guys are following him and keeping up to date on what he's got going on. As always, too, if you guys have any questions, call my guys. We'll be able to answer that. And the Lyra is live on the website. So let's see some Lyra orders and some Greg spec orders, and see if you could be one of the first few to get one in.
The builder is really fun too. For those of you who haven't checked it out yet, it's really fun to just, even if you're not going to buy something, just to design stuff.
Oh yeah. Dangerous. It's a time sucker. It's a time sucker. Spend your time on there,
Yeah.
But, well, I think that's it, Greg. It was good seeing you, and sorry we had a little bit of technical difficulties.
All good.
I know it would have been better for everybody if we would have if it would have gone more fluid, but hey, that was it. And I know we're going to end this with the video launch of the Lyra, which was done by our very own Brandon Ewing. Some awesome, tasty playing, and I would definitely love to see Greg and Brandon and Greg and Jesse and Greg and Scott all do something together. Greg with the 3 different guys, I think would be so cool to see him.
That would be, yeah.
That would be awesome. So we'll send you guys off on that video, and then be sure to hit the website and build yours. And on that note, we're out. We'll see you guys.
Great to see you guys. Thanks.